the waters to Cayman Bracken, Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thank you so much for joining us here on this wonderful Wednesday edition of Talk Today. Let's start things off with some open line. 1 o'clock, we can share with you about hospitality studies, and then 1:30, our friends from the Department of Immigration will share with us. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. I want you to be a part of a discussion and invite you to call and share your thoughts. It is summer, and it doesn't have to only be hot outside. Let's let it be hot on the airwaves. 949-837, 1-800-534-8255. Likewise, we can have you share your thoughts with us on our WhatsApp, 925-3261. Yeah, a lot of numbers, almost as much as we play during the week. 949-837, 1-800-534-8255. Yeah, I joke about that a lot. But hey, guess what, Speak to people in our communities. And it seems that the only people that are playing numbers are me and Miss Susan. At least I can't speak for anybody else. Doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean I support it. But guess what? It's happening in our communities. And I shared that off the bat conversation with some individuals earlier who were saying, we look at our government. We look at the increasing expense to operate a country, and in short order there are those who are saying that we're going to be forced to embrace direct taxation. In the group, one guy said that probably be better because you'll know when you go to the the retail outlet, supermarket, clothing store, otherwise, if the tax is 5% or 15%, straight off the bat, that's going to be added to your cost of your item. Others say, well, that's better than having it the way we have it. But let's talk about that in a second. But first, welcome to Talk Today. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Is that me?
How are you, sir?
Yeah, good afternoon, my friend.
It's always a pleasure to hear from you now. Glad that you were able to join us.
Well, yeah, I kind of laid off you for a while because I was,
I heard that you were traveling, man, with the big people and going all over the place, man. Is that true? I just teasing
you heard that?
No, I just teasing you, man.
No, but tell you, if you heard that, that's the proof right there that lots of rumors came on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can tell you about the other rumors we hear too, but I won't go there today.
Keep them a secret for now.
Keep them a secret. Why? There's some well-kept secrets in Cayman that everybody know,
Anyway, I'm calling today, Dwayne, because I went the other day. I saw this one of these portable mobile car washes, they call them.
Mm-hmm,
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's my belief that half of them don't have a license to operate. They just paint something on the car that says mobile car wash and get a pump, put it in the car. Some of them don't even have anything on their car saying that they're mobile car washers. But you see them at these parking lots and stuff like that, washing cars. And one day, I was in the parking lot by Coke Supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
The staff park or the big parking lot. And I see this thing come in, and he came up to me and asked me if I wanted to have my car washed. And I said to him, well, yeah, I need to wash, but how much it's going to cost me? said $25. And I looked at him. I said, I can go up to just wash up here.
Yeah.
Get it for $12 and something for just to wash it outside or something.
Mm-hmm.
Then I said, do you have a license to operate? I said, show me your license. Do you have that? But I don't have the license. Someone else got a license. It's my belief.
Yes, sir. Nobody else has a license, right? Mm-hmm.
It is my belief that these guys just get a car, or somebody gives them a car and sends them out there and say, go wash cars, nobody can bother you. And it bothers me, Dwayne, to see what's happening in our island. There's so many people who are out there cooking food.
Mm.
They don't need no bathrooms. All you need is a place to put that food, and you get out there and that's them from the back of the cars and all that.
Well,
there's no inspections. Nobody goes there to inspect them.
Yeah, I want to engage you because I'm glad you raised that issue. I started off by saying, hopefully not everybody will be offended by it, but if some are, it wasn't just tongue-in-cheek. It wasn't intended to offend either. I talked about, numbers and the issue of taxes. And even though you're talking about the car washes and unregulated, unlicensed, and perhaps lack of enforcement of businesses, the same concept was raised earlier in relation to so much in our community that we don't pay attention to businesses that operate. It's interesting that you mentioned the mobile car washes because that was also a reference in our conversation. From the perspective of lack of licensing and regulation and safety to the purveying of food at a car and trunks and the like, but also the potential impact on the environment. These car washes, for instance, some have complained that, one guy in particular, I not trying to identify his business for any particular reason, he says two things happen. In his business, employees have people come in while in their car park, the person pulls up and washes the car, or in the empty lot next door or on the side of the road, and he's wondering, what are the safety concerns? What is the environmental impact of maybe it's the chemical or whatever they're using on his blacktop, on potential going into the groundwater and the like. Other than the regulation, what other issues do you think these type of unregulated, unlicensed businesses could be posed into our community?
Yeah, well, Dwayne, let me put it this way. I see things all day. I talk to the legislators about it. I tell them, and sometimes they'll nod their head and say, yeah, we should look into that. But we don't have, for instance, I give you, again, beside the car washes, okay, and the mobile restaurant. The person that has a legitimate business, an operation, okay, and there's two sides to that story, too. Because, first of all, I can tell you, there's one of the busiest restaurants on West Bay Road, down 7 Mile Beach.
Mm.
They got to be doing at least a couple of thousand people a week, maybe more than that. They got 3 different operations within that. They got a bar, they got a place that they sell sushi, and then they got another one that's just a regular restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
They got 2 that I know about planning departments and their regulations and their code for this kind of stuff. With that many people, if you got, I think it's a certain number of people per bathroom. I think it's maybe 10 or 12 people for each stall, each thing you're going to have 12, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you go into that place up there. First of all, there's no handicap bathroom in there because you can't get into the bathroom because you have to go up 2 steps to get to the bathroom. You go inside. I know for the men's room, you go inside there, and I talked to the manager about it, okay, and told him that this was happening. And I went inside the bathroom one night there, and stood up by the urinal. And when I looked down, I see piss all over the floor. which means that it's running out of the little urinal is so small that it's no more than an inch above the hole in the thing. And I think when people get in there, and especially it is too high for people that are not tall enough. You see what I'm saying? So there are accidents happening within that thing. I spoke to the manager about it. They got one toilet and one urinal for that many people. No handicap facilities. Where are the inspectors of the restaurants? I remember some time ago, they had shut down Lone Star because they had some violation there. This place operates day in and day out. And nobody goes and look at them. Nobody does anything. These are the things I say, Dwayne, that is growing in Cayman because of who they are. They can get away with stuff. The other thing I'm going to complain about, and I talked to planning about it, I took pictures and showed them violations of the code and the regulation. And you go Westway right now, when you go in front of Wesleyan Church, there's a wall about 6 feet high against rules and regulations, against code. These people get away with it because of what? Because of who they are. The violations I see in all of this stuff around here, it's destroying the island. It's just, you go to South Sound, you see some of the ugliest monstrosities ever built is up there on them roads. You don't recognize South Sound no more. What are we trying to prove? You see, but the good book says that the love of money, and that's what's happened to us. The love of money has got into place here, and as long as they can get money for it, they let people do it.
Well, it is, perhaps comes down to, what is the ethos in our society and where we're trying to, position ourselves so that, one, as leaders, are we leading by example? At least, are we publicly extolling the virtues and values that we want to see inculcated in our society? So hopefully each successive generation is willing to not only pick up the mantle, but raise the bar. But if it's us, whether we're the politicians or the preachers, the pastors or the parents, the principals or otherwise, if we have, limited abilities and, lower standards, what they say, rising tide floats all ships. Any final comments, sir?
Yeah, Dave, let me just say this too before I go. That I see people coming in here to work. What hurt me the other morning, when I looked at the compass, they had a front page thing with all of these people, Caymanians, up at the Lion Center looking for work. And they got this thing called NICE. I don't know what's nice about it, but they're gonna have some people. These people now work a couple of weeks for something and pay them $10 an hour. People want permanent jobs. I see people running around in here. I know the gang members from South America. I see some of the tattoos they got on their neck and in their arms. They're all criminals. Yet they come here and they're employed by anybody because they can get them here for nothing. They bring them in and do nothing. We let people come here, and those people sitting up in the glass house or up in government, it don't bother them, because they're making the big salaries. They're getting paid whether they strike a lick or not. Just because they got 4 years to sit there, nobody's going to fire them. And yet, we see poor people on this island starving to death. People begging, and they're not because they don't want to work. And that's the first thing you hear them say. Oh, they're lazy, they don't want to work. These are the things that are destroying Cayman, and nobody seems to understand. They get, as long as government, and I saw in the paper today, the paper thing it is, really talking about they have this, the great surplus they have now in
yes,
sir. And I wonder where it's going to go. You remember some time ago, and I talked about it already, where they had given them $300,000 to clean cameras in Cayman, to clean the cameras, the public, on the roads and stuff like that. And it was right after that. I know the cameras are not there, but I took a trip. I made several trips up and down these roads and tried to count how many cameras I see. This is what's happening to Cayman. we get people up there and they can ask for this to do that and the other thing, and they give them, nobody's accountable. That's the problem.
All right, thanks very much for sharing. Again, accountability and responsibility. We're going to pause quickly, though, take our first break. We'll come back with some more open lines, so please stay tuned for Talk Today.
This Saturday evening, August 18th, come out to the South Coast Bar and Grill in Breakers. There will be live entertainment by Rexy and the Impulse Band, including Lammy, Renee Peter Dixon from Cayman Brack, and many more guest performers. Music starts at 6 p.m. and admission is by a small donation to help needy musicians. So come out this Saturday evening, August 18th at 6 p.m. for live entertainment with Rexy and the Impulse Band at South Coast Bar and Grill, with guest performers Lammy and, yes, Brackers, Peter Dixon from the Brack. This Saturday night at South Coast Bar and Grill in Breakers at 6 p.m. Admission by a small donation at the door.
The summer party has started, so watch out for great mobile deals and amazing free gifts from Flow. This summer, get the LTE Stream and Talk prepaid combo that suits you on the fastest 4G LTE network. Share the summer fun with a Flow Large Up combo for $19.99 with 2 gigs of data and 500 minutes to any local number. Plus, you can get free gifts from Flow, like barbecue grills, groceries, and air travel vouchers. Visit discoverflow.ky for more. Terms and conditions apply. Get your Flow prepaid combo and say, watch out, summer.
Nursing, education, social work, media studies, hospitality, electrical, plumbing, AC. Wow, I didn't even know that the University College of the Cayman Islands offered all that.
Yes, all that and more, as well as event management and QuickBooks. They also did customized training for our staff last month. Hey, didn't your son just graduate from high school? Take him so he can apply for the fall semester.
Pursue your academic and professional goals at UCCI. Admissions are ongoing. Classes start August 27th. Visit them or call 623-8224 to learn more.
Brand Source Home Gallery has been appointed the exclusive Cayman supplier for Duravit bathroom products. Duravit is the leading international manufacturer of bathroom ceramics, tubs, and showers, recognized around the world for beautiful, functional products. Winner of top industry awards, Duravit collaborates with leading European designers to provide the most elegant and innovative bath products. If you're ready to bring style, comfort, and innovation to your bathroom, visit Brand Source Home Gallery to see the new Duravit showroom and meet the in-house bath designer. Whether you're planning a functional family bathroom or a personal spa retreat, browse the Duravit collection and be inspired. Brand Source Home Gallery, delivering a new standard in custom designed bathrooms. Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
Hey, are those new glasses on Will?
Yeah, we went to Optical Outlook. Wham, bam, easy exam. Finally, an exam he could pass. And we have the glasses the next day. Easiest part of our back-to-school shopping for sure.
Book your child's exam today at Optical Outlook. Call 746-2020. Save 50% off a complete pair of glasses with any student eye exam. From now until August 31st. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook. Located in the Caymanian Village. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8837 or 1-800-534-8255. Join us for some open line here on Talk Today. You can WhatsApp your thoughts, 925-3261. If nothing else, you might not say, well, I don't know if I want to share my thoughts or, talk to you. When you call, you got to say hello to Miss Susan. And that's got to be the highlight of anybody's day. So 949-8837 or 949-6990. Or you can call us toll free at 1-800-534-8255. The caller, just prior to the break was sharing lack of regulation and enforcement, licensing and the like, not to make it difficult. I appreciate his sentiments because it sort of echo indirectly some comments that others were sharing with me earlier. A fellow in the group said, listen, in Cayman, we don't realize what we have here. We've devalued almost everything that we have in our society through our approach to development, lack of planning and the like. He said he's as guilty, as some, maybe more so than others. Bought property and developed it, invested in businesses because at the end of the day, he wanted to make a buck. That was the objective. You invest, you get a return, you climb the scale and up the ladder and, drive a better car, live in a better house, be able to travel. That is sort of what you do in a progressing society. But he shared at what cost. And nowadays, he says, words like sustainable development, things of a nature other than just the financial cost are being considered. His concern is that perhaps it's a little bit too late. Now, he shared, for example, the notion that, and I joked earlier about the numbers being played and whatever. He says, look at that, an unregulated economy that is increasingly becoming dangerous. He questioned whether some of the robberies and the other things that we're seeing isn't because people suspect or know that there may be funds available here at a home or a business or elsewhere. Now, could that be putting people and their lives and property at risk? He also questioned whether we will have direct taxation later on, and could if we be in a better position financially to support, the increasing demand on the provision of government services by having maybe other legs to our economy, having other taxable industries, as it were. He says, whether you're in the UK or you're in the US and they have national lotteries, well, do we consider employing something similar? 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255 and share your thoughts with us. But he shared, like so many things, there's a lack of attention, lack of enforcement, and always the response, he says, is to make it seemingly more costly and cumbersome. The red tape that we talk about for businesses, for people to engage, for productivity, to be the center of attention. But the answer isn't to turn a blind eye. The caller referenced the notion that people may be selling food from the backs of their cars, the trunks. People may be going around and soliciting, others for, as he calls it, the mobile car washing. Well, are we considering the potential liability? What if the fellow, gets in the car wash to discover that whatever it was that was used to wash the car has now discolored the car? Is there a means to sue the vendor to seek compensation for the damage to the vehicle? What if, in the process, someone gets hurt? The surface is left slippery and a car skids and hits another car or hits the person who's doing the washing or some other incident. What about as he said, I reflected on a comment from one of the businessmen in the group earlier. He said, he had to say to the employees, please don't have your cars washed on the site in the parking lots anymore for those same reasons. But also, he believes that there is a direct, correlation between the frequency of the cars being washed in the parking lot and the increasing potholes and the like that are now appearing in the parking lot. Is it that the parking lot is made out of that blacktop asphalt, whatever it is that they put on the car parks these days, and the chemicals that are being used to wash the cars, the tires, the rims, and what have you? Could that, he said, be contributing to the car park gradually starting to deteriorate much faster? Well, he said he had to take a decision. Didn't mean that he was trying to be mean or unhelpful to the staff, but he was concerned. End of the year, he has to resurface his car park because customers as well as staff complain that they have to walk and drive through potholes. That increases the cost of his business, reduces the probability of potential. Not that I think he said he would be too inclined to give out too many dividends, but the potential for raises and the like. He says, people don't appreciate that when costs increase. Businesses aren't in the business of being charitable. They're in the business of making money. That is the nature. Yes, like many businesses, they give because they believe it's important. They give because it's good PR. That is the harsh, stark reality. But what is your perspective? Is that a horrible employer? Or do you think he's been an astute businessman and considering the liability? Are you considering the potential impact on the environment? He questioned, what about the potential that water could, run off and create damage to the surrounding landscape, to the groundwater. Again, you guys probably know more about the potential for that than I do, and perhaps maybe he does, but equally concerns. Hey, share with us, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. And then in that same discussion, another businessman said, listen, it's time that the government considers strongly direct taxation on profits from businesses, on income and salaries, on dividends, on properties, and the like. He said if we were to do that, there are those who counter immediately that, we don't have the infrastructure. It's going to cost more to collect the taxes than we will collect in taxes. He made an allegation that is a well-accepted fact in his mind, that when it comes to the sale and transfer of properties, especially the high-end properties, that there is this habitual practice that a property is sold, money changes hands, the land transfer forms are signed, but there are some people who refuse and deliberately decide that they're not going to sign and date the forms and the like as the intended buyer. The seller now sells it, and that conveys and transfers ownership, and then that is then exchanged time and time again, and eventually it may be registered for some reason or the other. But government is not only denied the stamp duty on each successive transfer that would have taken place. People are making money off the backs and at the expense of the country and the taxpayers. If, as he alleges, that is a habitual practice, and if it's as known as he says it is, now why is it not something being done about it and enforced as he asked? Maybe he's just looking at it from a perspective that is limited. Maybe he's just engaging in a bit of conjecture. But again, is that a concern? 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. But he said equally, if we have a system of direct taxation, and he used the number 10%, just make it simple. He said it could be 1%, it could be 5%, not to make it so that it punishes people, but it's a flat amount. The person who's making $10,000 for the year pays 10%. The person who's making $100,000 for the year pays 10%. Each is paying 10%, but their dollar sum is significantly more. 10% of 1,000, 10% of 10,000, 10% of 100,000. Certainly, there's a significant difference. Now, he said if you went into the supermarket and the items that you purchased were taxable, when you got your receipt, right then and there, well, I just bought, this item, 5%, 10%, whatever the tax is, it's right there. Now, we have to make sure, he says, that money is not only collected, but is remitted, is paid over to the government immediately, and a significant, robust, enforcement collection machinery in place. He said there was an issue way back when. Perhaps it wasn't as bad as he thought. Maybe it was worse, he says, but maybe it still is and it isn't. When the tourism accommodation tax, I think is what he shared, it was alleged that was being collected. The people staying in the tourism properties paid that tax, but for some reason, some properties were either late or were not sending it on to government. Now, if that is as he shared, perhaps we can understand why some people would be concerned as to whether or not, if a tax is collected on behalf of the government, that it may not make its way to the government. But surely there are other countries that collect taxes in a similar way, and the governments are able to receive it. Surely we must be able to deploy a similar system. Now, not sure that I'm a strong proponent for taxes, but if it's what is in the greater good, if it's something that should be considered, maybe it is timely that we do so. 949-8037 or 949-6990. You can WhatsApp 925-3261, or you can call us toll free at 1-800-534-8255. Got a quick comment when we come back in relation to minimum wage. It emanated from a comment from one of the guys this morning. We're also reminded of it as well just recently. And you may want to perhaps weigh in on that as well. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Not all insurance is created equal, but who has the time to shop around? Take the guesswork out of your insurance coverage with Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Let us match you with the best coverage to suit your needs at a price to suit your wallet. Plus, get superior customer service from dedicated claims professionals to ensure speedy claims processing. Get your insurance through Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
All right, Ray, are we ready for our next CYC?
The topic we're going to have is Patterson, farm soldier. Thought we'd focus on one of our Cayman characters.
Ray, we have some characters in our society, people that the community needs to be reminded of. Mr. Patterson is one of those.
Yeah, and then people who say characters. The legendary Patterson, the farm soldier.
We all have our stories. We all remember first encounter coming from and going to school. The man is a legend.
Yes, we need people to call in and tell us some of the Patterson stories and things like that.
As we celebrate, respect, and pay homage to what I think was a great character in our society.
Join us this Friday.
This Friday already?
This Friday already. See What's Saying show. And the topic is Patterson. Make sure you call in. Make sure you listen.
All right. This Friday, we have a special guest to help us to navigate our historical record.
We hope.
We hope. If not,
join us anyway. See what the correct will be.
There you go. This Friday, See What I'm Saying.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us. Quick programming note right after headline news at 1. Get a chance for you to join us. We tell you about the School of Hospitality Studies, but it's open line between now and then. Appreciate the opportunity to invite guests into the studio. Appreciate the opportunity to also offer you an opportunity to call and share your thoughts on our open line segments. Hey, it's incredible opportunities that exist in this country, and it's important for us to be able to participate, feel included, feel as if we're being heard. At the very least, that we have a voice and opportunity to share that voice. So 949-8037. 1-800-534-8255. Either way, call and share your thoughts with us. Now, Friday, Ray Banker is busy. He's been incredibly busy getting us some information. I think any of us who's been here for any length of time would recognize that this is an incredible society. We have some wonderful people. There are things, unfortunately, that have passed away in our history that we no longer remember, recall, celebrate, talk about, share. And as part of our See What I Was Saying, in the last few years we've been delving into a number of the things and reminded of the wonderful history that we have and the heritage. Also, being informed of things we didn't even know. Perhaps things that we may have heard earlier in our lives that our grandparents and the older, wiser heads used to talk about. Now, we need to make sure that we celebrate and share, because this is an incredible society, and we have a wonderful, wonderful, rich history. So Friday, See What I Say. Looking forward to learning more and having our guests join us, and you equally share with us. We laugh, but we also equally, try our very best to present it in a respectful way. We have to look at our society and look at it with a sense of interest, intrigue, and above all, sincerity. Hey, let's go to our phones. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Very blessed and thankful. And yourself?
The same,
Amen.
The same.
Amen.
I just want to speak a little bit. You had your HSA Dr. Ebanks on yesterday from pediatrics, right?
In pediatrics, yes, well.
Yeah.
Yes, well.
Well, there, I tried to get in. Each time I tried to get in, it was busy. So, but I just wanted to say, I don't know about the rest of the nurses, but my little grandniece was in there a couple of months ago, and there is a special nurse that she's only 3, and she still remembered the name of that nurse, and her name is Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And she talked about Georgia, and I even told her a little bit about geography. If she couldn't remember Georgia, call her Miss Atlanta, and that kind of stuff. Anyhow, she is a precious nurse. I mean, I would trust my life with her because she's so good with the children. I used to know her by Georgia Thompson, but I know the doctor would have known who I was talking about if I could have gotten in. Anyway, I also want to mention something else about tourism. We depend on tourism for so many things. We call ourselves a good destination in the Cayman and all of that. But I would like for our minister responsible for tourism to hire more people for inspection, because according to what they're saying, the rooms of rental and stuff like that is something like 6,000. I guess that's including condominiums and hotels. I don't know. But I do know this for sure because I worked all of my life in working life up till now in tourism. So was Peter. But the thing is, if you could only have 2 inspectors for these, they cannot do all of these rooms. That's why so many people are getting away without paying the 13% government tax, because what those people do is, some of them, I know that when that time for inspection comes around, they leave the island. I also know, I witnessed this myself now, that some of the people that are on work permit and they go for vacation, they hand their keys over to friends and of their apartments, and friends and real estate agents, can't forget them, to rent their apartment out on a daily basis. I know the tourism department don't know this yet. We give them the privilege to work in our beautiful island, and then they turn around and going to rip the government off in that sort of way. That's why I want Mr. Moses to put more inspectors out there. It got to be. Some people are honest, as honest as the day is long. Some people is going to rip off the government regardless of what. But with 2 inspectors, it's no way that they can inspect those units, rooms, and for the length of time that they have before season begin. It's no way they can do it. And I could say that I know of 4 people that rents apartments that nothing goes to the government because they leave the island the same time of inspection. And I've been in some of those apartments, and that is the kind of apartments that give the decent ones, the decent apartments, up to standard and stuff, a bad name. dirty carpet and dirty grout and stuff like that. But if our inspectors don't know this sort of thing because we only have 2, then they can't do nothing about it. That's why you got to look after renting, look after hiring more people to do this sort of thing. That's all they'll do, and to check up on some of these things that they would hear. But you can't work 2 to death and say they could do a good job when they're missing about another 100 or so that is unknown to government. And people don't report this kind of thing. And I feel it's unfair for those that, keep their units up to scratch. I've been into condominium management, and I know, and in the times that I've been into condominium management, it wasn't as many apartments in condominium or rooms for rent as it is now.
Right.
So that's what I would like to see done. I wanted to say more, but I know you're getting up to news on a different subject. So I thank you, and I thank Susan, and good afternoon to you.
And to you, Mom. And thank you, too, for listening, but also for sharing. And I trust that people would appreciate not just your experience and expertise, but the love and sincerity that you have, for the betterment of this country. So thank you very much, Mom. We'll pause. We have our news headlines coming up. When we come back, Mr. Wayne Jackson, Director of Hospitality Studies, will join us. Got a half an hour or so with him to share with you about the School of Hospitality Studies. 1:30, our Acting Chief Immigration Officer, the Deputy Chiefs, and the Assistant Chief of Immigration will join us. We'll talk about the ongoing amnesty and share some of the things with you. Listen, if you want to be informed and involved, you've got to take opportunity and do so. We provide it for you. Hopefully you'll join us. Please stay tuned for Talk Today. Listen to our headline news and then come back as we get a chance to share more. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
On Tuesday, customs officers observed a small group of people behaving suspiciously on Soundway in Georgetown. When approached by customs officers, several people scattered, but one woman remained, who was found to be in possession of various sums of cash on her. Police were notified, and the woman, age 49 of Georgetown, was arrested on suspicion of gambling offenses. She is still in police custody. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte has declared a 12-month state of emergency in the Liguria region in response to the motorway bridge collapse in Genoa. He also said he would make $5.7 million available from central funds. The regional government had requested the action following Tuesday's collapse, which left 39 people dead. 48 people have been killed and 67 injured in a bomb explosion at an education center in Afghanistan's capital, Kabul. Police say a suicide bomber walked into the center while teaching was underway and detonated his bomb belt. Many of those killed are believed to be teenagers who were getting extra tuition as they prepared for university entrance exams. The Taliban has denied involvement. And New Zealand's parliament has banned many foreigners from buying existing homes in the country, a move aimed at making properties more affordable. The ban only applies to non-residents. Australians and Singaporeans are exempt because of free trade deals. New Zealand is facing a housing affordability crisis, which has left home ownership out of reach for many. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
This Saturday evening, August 18th, come out to the South Coast Bar and Grill in Breakers. There will be live entertainment by Rexy and the Impulse Band, including Lammy, Renee Peter Dixon from Cayman Brack, and many more guest performers. Music starts at 6 p.m. and admission is by a small donation to help needy musicians. So come out this Saturday evening, August 18th at 6 p.m. for live entertainment with Rexy and the Impulse Band at South Coast Bar and Grill, with guest performers Lammy and yes, Brackers, Peter Dixon from the Brack. This Saturday night at South Coast Bar and Grill in Breakers at 6 p.m. Admission by a small donation at the door.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us. And please, as we welcome to the studio Mr. Wayne Jackson, the Director of Hospitality Studies over at UCCI. Always a good pleasure to have a chat with you, man.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Well, I hope you're enjoying
you're looking young and fresh.
Hey, listen, I thank God. Thank you for the sentiments. You live a good life. You try to act with sincerity and integrity and hopefully with a good heart in the hand. Who knows, but no man knows the day of the hour. So
it's true.
But thank you.
It's so true. Thank you for having me.
I look at Cayman and I look at the opportunities for all of us, and hopefully as we share, as we not just introduce and make people aware, but we invite them to participate.
Right.
It's important, and we have the School of Hospitality Studies.
Yes.
You guys are doing a great job over there, introducing people, getting them on board.
Yeah, we're breaking ground. We are breaking ground. We're working to build traction and to gain more support. Mm-hmm. And this is another new year that we're looking to get students to come in. Mm-hmm. Applications are still open, so one person is to really apply as soon as possible. Because we're starting interviews and screening process pretty much next week. Right? Mm-hmm. So as soon as you get applications in, we'll be able to screen you and to get you in. Just to add that this program is fully funded by the Department of Tourism and in collaboration with the Ministry of Education. So once you're in the program, it covers pretty much all of what you need to have to succeed.
Okay. Now, is there a limit to the number of students each year?
Yes, there is. Of course, there's a certain amount of money that we can spend. So there's a restriction in terms of how many students we can take in. Okay. But then that's why you need to apply as soon as possible, so that you can actually be screened and you get to know exactly what you need to have, because not everybody wants to be in hospitality. So we want to make sure that we have the right persons coming in to meet that fit. Yes.
Right. Tell us about the program. How long is it? What the students will engage in.
All right. So our program is built to create a foundation year for students who want to get into hospitality. Mm-hmm. If you have had some experience in the industry already, yes, you can come and apply as well. It gives you dual qualifications, one with the City and Guilds out of the UK and one from UCCI. Now, both qualifications, they're different levels and different expectations. But once students complete the program, they will have pretty much entry-level skills. And they'll be confident. And what we've had over the years, we've had students who have worked in the industry, who have experience, come in and get a qualification. And when they go back, they get a promotion at the workplace. Mm-hmm. So we can attract persons who are experienced and inexperienced. So we can take care of both persons as well. The only thing is that the program is a full-time program, so you have to be there Monday to Friday, pretty much.
Monday to Friday. From what time to what time, roughly?
Program usually starts roughly about 8:30. Mm-hmm. So typically it's ideal because persons have to get to work, so persons can get dropped off at school if they don't have a car, and those with a car can drive in. And they're there until about roughly 3:30 in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. Now, our program is a little different because there are days in which students have to be there beyond the 2:30 time frame. Of course, this is communicated as early as possible, but we pride ourselves on making students professional, developing a strong work ethic, tell them what the expectations are. And the cool thing that we do is that we allow students to look at different facets of the industry and then be able to gain the experience from those areas by being there, seeing it, and say, if they're not sure about what they want to do, we have them look at culinary, have them look at the food and beverage side of it, have them look at just the operation side of it, maintenance side of it as well. And then they'll decide pretty much what they want to do. One of the cool things that we have done that makes our program quite unique was we've incorporated a dive qualification as well. And Cayman Islands is quite renowned for its diving attraction. So we saw it fit to have students having that competency. So if they want to become a diver, they can actually come and be qualified through our program and actually gain some advanced qualifications and begin to work towards a master diving qualification. So that's what they desire.
Optional, or would all the participants be expected?
No, none of the things that we do is an expectation. We show you all that we offer.
Okay.
But we have more success because students choose what they want to pursue. And because you've chosen what you want to do, you're more interested, there's more passion, there's more commitment. And that's the drive that we try to promote as much as possible.
Excellent. So you get introduced to a preview of the different aspects of hospitality.
Yes, yes.
I mean, there's some who love the culinary arts and then they find that that's their calling. Others may say, you know what? Well, I like this thing of catering and that whole aspect that goes on with the events.
And we teach those small entrepreneurial skills as well. So if in the event you want to start your own business or do a little thing on the side, we do that as well. And one of the cool things that's happening this year as well is that we spend some time in the BRAC to build some relationships with the Reef Resort, and we're building some more linkages there. And they've agreed to take some of our students, and so we're starting a BRAC cohort for the first time. This year. Excellent. Definitely. So one person's in the BRAC to apply, contact Mr. Keeley. He has all the information, or you can contact us directly and we'll be able to send it over to you as well.
What's the best way to contact, whether you're on the BRAC or here on Grand Cayman?
The best way to contact is send an email to shs@ucci.edu.ky or give us a call, 623-0528. That's 623-0528. We'll be more than happy to get you streamlined and sorted and tell you exactly what to do and where you need to go and so on.
If I may ask of you, as you're speaking to Mr. Dwayne Jackson, the director of the School Hospitality Studies, some have asked me, well, is there sort of an age range of the students? I know you referenced experience as well as inexperience, but is there an age range?
No, we don't restrict based on age, really. And that's a universal discrimination. We can't do that.
Oh, but we do that here all the time.
You can change careers. There's no... I have had people who have gone back to school at 60.
Yes.
And they're kicking the butts of those who are young, sharp, and, yes, there's some level of insecurity and some unsure feeling that persons might have going back to school at that age, but it's just up to the motivation. And I find that they succeed and do just as well as those who are young as well. And sometimes the young people feel intimidated after a while, like, hey,
or inspired.
Chill, and at the same time also inspired too. And they become leaders, and it's each year it's a different dynamic, so we don't really block based on age.
No, I appreciate that. You've shared that before. I asked it each time, and only because there are some people here who maybe in their earlier lives perhaps didn't have the option. Maybe financially they didn't see it as being something that was viable at the time.
Right.
But they've always wanted to be in that sector.
Yes.
And now this could be an option for them,
One of the things with our industry people don't realize is that our industry, even with 9/11, never failed. There's no significant failing that happened in our industry during 9/11. Yes, there's amalgamation of products and maybe restaurants will close and so on, but where that restaurant closed, another one opened up in the same spot. Name change, different branding. And those places still have restaurants running now, right? One of the things that we did in our hotel with 9/11 was we didn't reduce our room rates, right? And occupancy fell, yes, but the industry came back. One of the things hospitality and tourism does is that it employs the young, the retired, and those in between, right? It's a filler for persons who are changing professions. Persons need to make a little extra income. They can do some bartending, waitering, or work in a hotel in whatever capacity, right? So our industry has always been one of those pillars that support the economy in many different ways. So for persons to come in and do it, I mean, a lot of persons are professionals now, start out doing something in hospitality even when they're studying. So
remember those days?
A bartender most times goes to college, but serve drinks at nighttime. So it's something that's quite dynamic, and I really enjoy it, and I enjoy building careers for persons coming into this industry.
It brings not just a sense of drive and determination, but it builds within you, that resolve and resilience.
Yes.
Take the student, as you shared, who may be bussing tables, right? But during the night or the day, when they're not working, they're studying for law or accounting or
whatever field you want to be in. And the key thing is we do interviews for screening persons because we want to find persons with passion, with commitment. Nobody wants to go to a restaurant and find somebody boring like, you want to find somebody who's smiling, who's outgoing, and you might go in not feeling good, but when you leave, like, gee, I feel like $1 million.
That's right.
Right? And in our industry, people come here and spend a lot of money for vacation.
And employers
we want to make sure that employers,
Yep.
they're looking for that value because everybody wants a good return on investment.
Yep.
So the key is we want to make sure that we provide good students to employers who can then say, yes, we can build on this, what you've given us. And the key thing at UCCI, we have a program where upon completion of the certificate program, if you want to continue studying, we have programs for you to continue working on as well.
And that is, as you share, the foundation course for this year. You get introduced to the different facets.
Yes.
But then you can continue on, maybe it's, business studies or other areas.
Whatever other area. Or even hospitality. You can continue hospitality as well.
Or even hospitality.
Yes.
And I look at Cayman, and I think we've, to date, not leveraged it enough for our people. Many different reasons. People can point to different examples historically. But listen, we can't change the past, but we can influence the future.
Absolutely.
That goes talking to Miss Susan. Yeah, change it. Oh, she's like that one. She's writing it down. She says, my next poem. Hey, listen,
and one of the things that we've done too as well, we've broken out some of those courses into individual modules. So persons who want to come in and do a one-off course with us, they can come and do that as well. We started decorating program, cake decorating program. So we've done the basic level. Those persons have moved on to the intermediate level now. So they're doing more advanced stuff. We've launched our event planning class as well.
Right.
And that happens every fall. It's happening again this fall. So persons can come in and just do that particular thing. So in addition to just you coming to learn something, there's also some short things that you can do just to equip yourself.
Exactly.
And then do something that you've always been curious about.
Well, when you have that cake tasting class, after it's decorated, they need somebody to come taste it, you just call me.
You are welcome. You know why? Those students, their family after a while say, you know what, no more cake, we're going to ban you. Because one of the things that they have to do is bake the cake and bring it to class. So we teach them first how to bake the cake and so on. Then they bring, because the cake is too hot. So you have to bring it cooled for it to be decorated. And then, but I've seen tears shed at the examination upon realizing that I can't believe I did this.
Joys, tears of joy, right?
Yes, it is.
All right, we're going to pause quickly. When you come back, next few minutes, recap, remind us, share, extend invitation.
Absolutely.
Hopefully more of us. To our listeners, continued honor to be able to speak to Mr. Dwayne Jackson about the School of Hospitality Studies. 1:30, we talk to our friends at the Department of Immigration and share with you with what's happening there. At 4 o'clock, no, just kidding, 4 o'clock, I'll be elsewhere. God's willing. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
Nursing, education, social work, media studies, hospitality, electrical, plumbing, AC. Wow, I didn't even know that the University College of the Cayman Islands offered all that.
Yes, all that and more, as well as event management and QuickBooks. They also did customized training for our staff last month. Hey, didn't your son just graduate from high school? Take him so he can apply for the fall semester.
Pursue your academic and professional goals at UCCI. Admissions are ongoing. Classes start August 27th. Visit them or call 623-8224 to learn more.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecast, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman 89.9 FM.
It was great catching up with you. I've got to go pick up my prescription at Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor.
But you live in West Bay. Do you know you can go to Healthcare Pharmacy in Governor Square, their second location?
Really?
Yes, and if you go to healthcarepharmacy.ky, you can refill and transfer your prescriptions online and collect at either location.
That's so convenient. Thanks. I'm off to Healthcare Pharmacy in Governor Square.
Healthcare Pharmacy Grand Harbor, Healthcare Pharmacy Governor Square, and always healthcarepharmacy.ky.
Talk to Dick. But I do have some questions. Talk to Dick.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk to Dick.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us, and trust that if this is of interest to you, it may be to a friend or a family member, please share it as we welcome Mr. Wayne Jackson, the Director of the School of Hospitality Studies over UCCI. Wayne, as you share with us, the idea that in this program, not only is it a foundation and introduction, people get to, to see what it's like, but we become ambassadors.
Yes.
We become appreciative of this thing that is being talked about is customer service.
Mm-hmm.
For some, it's just natural. It's just who they are.
Yes.
I can think of a couple of people right off the bat. It doesn't matter whatever job they're doing, that level of, let's just use the phrase customer service.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's incredible. It's just that person's nature. Right? But in there, we get to see how important it is and how it adds value to the customer experience,
yes.
to the employer, but even to your own fulfillment and enjoyment.
Yes.
Right? That smile you talk about, that smile that
yes.
we see on your face, all right? You can, to some extent, teach that,
yes.
But it's for that person who has a call, and this is the opportunity for them.
It is. And one of the things that I want to add is that people think that this industry doesn't pay. Certainly far from
people are told this industry doesn't
right.
pay.
I had a student in my first year who I told him that I got $1,000 tip once. I've got several hundreds tips in my time in the industry, but I remember one time I got a tip that was over $1,000. And I said, you know what? The service I gave was more important than the money that I got.
Mm-hmm.
And he's working at a very prominent restaurant here in Cayman now.
Mm-hmm.
And he received a tip of over $950.
Mm-hmm.
And he came back to me and said, you know what, I didn't believe it. When you said that, like, oh, that's not so true. But he now has lived the life, right? He was promoted, and he didn't want to take the promotion because being promoted means that he would make a little less.
Yeah. but this is...
But the income earning capacity in our industry cannot be overlooked. Yeah. And not only that, you can actually work and have your own business as well by working in the hospitality industry as well. So I want to invite persons who are considering it. If you have friends who want to get into the program, you need to turn your application as quickly as possible.
Right
we
now.
are screening. Right. Yes. Applications, you can send an email to shs@ucci.edu.ky. That's shs@ucci.edu.ky, or give us a call 623-0528, and I'll be able to give you and tell you exactly what you need to do. Or you know what? Simply come down to UCCI. Come on down to UCCI, and I'll pretty much make sure that you are sorted out.
All right. I know earlier, right off the bat, you referenced that it's supported by the Ministry of Tourism.
It is
the Ministry of
fully
Education
funded.
Department.
Yes.
So for those prospective students,
you just come and apply. You don't even pay for the application if you're selected for the program. Other programs at UCCI, you pay for the application form. You don't pay for application. You pay, turn your information, and pretty much we'll get you squared away right after that. Of course, we need for you to have a black pants, and those things will cover, and your shoes, but we provide it with pretty much everything else.
Well, this is the idea that as people look at it, they need to understand that the opportunities are here. And without asking you to get into it, but thank you for referencing the fact that the pay in this sector can be very rewarding.
Yes.
The opportunities for the entrepreneur to have our own business, they're there. Sadly, and it'll be a little bit of a socio-political statement. Unfortunately, from the banks to others, we have failed as a society to ensure people understand that this can be very lucrative.
Yeah, but the good thing,
we're getting there.
We've started, and we're making a difference. And I know that if we keep chugging at it, we're going to pretty much break the walls down. And people are I have ambassadors, students who've gone out there and they're making their way. They are pretty strong. And what we found is that they are employable globally.
That's the key.
Right? It's a global skill they're receiving as well. So, and that's the thing today. You have to have sometimes skills and be equipped for multiple things because we live in a global economy. Look, in Cayman, we have lots of people coming here to work from other countries, and they're using the money. They're sending money away. In addition to sending money away, they're buying homes here. They're buying cars here. Why can't everyone come into our program, do the same thing?
Well, again, that's that thing that we've failed to do. I mean, it's changing, and I think people like you are, because of your stature, or because of your interests, and perhaps because people are hearing the same thing but in a different voice. We can't always see and hear something because it's being said by your brother or a friend. It needs to be said by somebody else, right? And we're starting to get there.
That's my drum. I'm going to keep beating that drum.
Well, we're going to have this platform here that allows you to extend that invitation. Mr. Dwayne Jackson is our guest. Sir, we do have a call online.
Yes.
That voice I'm hearing in my head is Miss Susan's, silky voice. So let's go to the phone. Say good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I was very interested, actually, not for myself, but for my daughter.
Okay.
I just wanted to say this, tourism or service industry is good. I've been there myself, and, there's lots of benefits.
Yeah.
But is it going to be considered to do, like, part-time studying? Meaning that, at this stage, there's a few people that I know, including her, that may be interested in doing, but has a job. And I must say I have a good story about my daughter, I can probably say. She's 19 years old, and she started out with doing like little catering. And we met some people. We invited them back to Cayman. They were on the ship. We invited back. And the whole story, they came back. They started to invest, buying property.
Wow.
My daughter was 16 years old, like I said, and she could work summers with me. And she got into it. They identified her as being, a good worker or whatever, just observing how she worked in my business. And when she graduated, she did her first year at UCCI. And then, things didn't work out the way, financially, whatever. We couldn't afford it. And they hired her. Now my daughter is a property manager for 4 units. She is wanting to go in more with tourism. But the chances of her doing that on a part-time is what you're saying. It has to be full-time. Is there any consideration for part-time in this study?
Yes, there is a part-time program available, but it's not going to be funded by the scholarship that we're offering at this time. That program is separate from this program that I've just spoke about. So what she could do is contact me, and I'll tell her pretty much how she can then pursue that program.
Okay. All right. And that's your name again? I didn't get
My name is Wayne Jackson.
Okay.
My telephone number, office number is 623-0528. 623 0528.
Okay,
right? And we pretty much, if you don't get through, leave a message because, pretty much up and about and moving offices and moving things around and so on. So I'll return your call, or you could send an email. That's even faster at shs@ucci.edu.ky.
I'll pass this information on to her.
Right, and one of the things we want to do is get persons like your daughter in, so we can actually help them to actually hone those skills to really become strong leaders in this sector.
Right. Okay. I'll have her call you.
Definitely. Looking forward to hearing from you.
Hey, thank you very much, Mom. And as that, parents shared, we have many, but as she was saying too,
We just have to make it's a pie. So what we do is cut the pie up a little bit and make sure that everybody can get a bite at this pie.
Yeah, man.
Right? We build the skills, prepare persons, and this is. There's always I've designed several things, several steps for persons to use to get to where they want to be, and be it here or wherever. So as we said, we prepare global students for this sector. So.
Come on. It's an amazing sector. I'm grateful for it. It's not only put food on my plate, gives me the education. My parents have sacrificed incredibly, like many of their day, so that we could enjoy the bounty of today.
That's so true.
I just believe that we need to embrace it more as a policy and as a country, and ensure that we have the very best from ourselves and from those who come to our shores, man.
So true. So true.
Thank you for making the program better. You always raise the bar, my friend.
Thank you so much. Brock, Cayman Brock, we're coming.
You know what I'm saying?
Cayman Brock, we're coming.
Remind those in the back as well. This is for them equally, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, whenever you need, whether it's in person or by phone, join us so that we can. But the program is going to start imminently. Yes. So it's important that you get the applications in.
Absolutely important.
All right. I wouldn't look to your left, sir. Don't look to your left. You're going to be distracted by...
I want to see you. Listen, it was a pleasure talking with you too.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you too.
Let's pause and take a break. When we come back, more talk today. And that distraction was none other than MLA Bernie Bush. I have to go talk to him because he's distracting my staff. When we come back, please join us as we talk to our friends from the Department of Immigration.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
From happy beginnings to happy ever after,
Brit K protects your lifestyle with the best insurance cover at the best possible price.
Health insurance with far-reaching benefits.
95% of claims settled in 5 days.
Low-cost life insurance.
And investments.
Security in retirement.
With a custodian pension plan.
For happy beginnings and a happy ever after,
visit BritK.ky or call 949-8699.
Brit K, where people come first.
Advance Automotive is celebrating 10 years as Cayman's authorized Chevrolet dealer and is giving away $10,000 to one lucky customer to celebrate. Buy any new Chevrolet from Advance Automotive and you'll be entered to win $10,000 cash. Entries close 1st of December or after 100 cars sold, whichever comes first. Buy your new dream car and enter to win $10,000 cash for Advance Automotive's 10th birthday. Visit the showroom on Owen Roberts Drive or visit AdvanceChevrolet.com for more details today.
The Lions Club of Tropical Gardens, in association with the Cayman Islands Cancer Society, presents Steve Higgins and Friends in Embracing Romance. An elegant evening with Dahlia Winter, April Marr, Amaya Lewis, and Steve Higgins. Sunday, September 2nd at the Marriott Beach Resort, 7 Mile Beach at 6 p.m. sharp. Come hear impeccable performances of timeless love songs, punctuated by riveting, stunning creative dance in a classy, romantic evening. Tickets at Funky Tangs or Super Stitch and Virtue, or call 916-5008. That's Embracing Romance, Sunday, September 2nd at 6 p.m. at the Marriott Beach Resort with Steve Higgins and Friends. Proceeds will go to the Cayman Islands Cancer Society and the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens. Sponsored by Harney's, NCB Capital Markets, S&P, Auger, and Radio Cayman.
We are Radio Cayman, and this is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Sing your praise to the Lord. Come on, everybody, stand up and sing one more. Hallelujah, give your praise to the Lord. We are united in Jesus Christ. We are the soldiers of the land.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
There's a meeting up in heaven. Roll call. It's a name in the Lamb's Book of Life. Roll call, brother, sister. Roll call. If you don't stop shouting, if you don't stop dancing, we're going to put you out of our church.
Praise time.
Jesus in the morning, yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Your song flows through my lips. Your work move through my hands. Your thoughts stay on my mind. Live in me.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Talk Today as we welcome to our studio the Chief Officer Ministry. Now, Mr. Wesley Howell, always got to remember that he's here today wearing this hat, not that hat. Right?
Well, we can shorten the name for today.
Yes, sir.
And just say Ministry of Immigration, right? Because we're here Department and Ministry.
Yes, sir. You read my mind. And thank you for bringing along the Assistant Chief Immigration Officer, Mr. I said Joel Scott. What is Joey?
Joey Scott.
Joey, right? Joey. Yeah, you remember Joel is the handsome one.
I agree with you.
He would too, you know. He would too. Gents, I trust that I not only will be respectful, but also respectful of your time and of our listeners. And as we talk about immigration, amnesty, and the like, really sincerely appreciate all of our guests, but in particular, civil servants like yourselves coming on board and sharing with the public, giving them a chance to access and to be informed directly. Mr. Howell, always a pleasure. And the issue that Cayman is a wonderful place. We heard Mr. Jackson talk about the school hospitalities, talk about the tourism sector that we have, and not just the lucrative financial, economic benefits that accrue to investor as well as employee, but that guests and us who can walk the beaches, go in the restaurants. We need to embrace it. We need to make it safe as well as successful for all. So
absolutely.
Immigration plays that role as well, man.
Absolutely.
All right. So good afternoon to you. Amnesty?
Yes.
Is that what we have on the order today?
First one quick correction. I'm actually here with Mr. Scott as opposed to him being with me. So
okay.
I am providing some support to the department, but this is really an initiative that's being led by Mr. Scott and his team, assisted by Mr. Wong, his deputy and responsible, and Mrs. Bruce Smith. I'll start off by saying, a public thank you to Mr. Scott and his enforcement team for their ramped up efforts to stamp out illegal working and overstaying. And the sort of genesis for where we are now culminated with, the prison approaching capacity and our foot is still on the gas pedal in terms of hard charging on immigration enforcement side. And one of the magistrates suggested that we look at doing an amnesty to give persons an opportunity to depart and allow us to focus then our efforts on who's remaining without clogging up the prison system unnecessarily with individuals that we could deal with otherwise. So the cabinet agreed, and we implemented that for this month. So we're halfway through the month. And we're working through now to try and get the message out there for individuals that are here. Flights are full and other things, but really need to make an effort to contact the department so that we can help them.
Right, fair enough. And Mr. Scott, I do apologize. I always try to look at protocol, and in absence of a female member of staff being here, I always say who's senior. So the humility as well as the intellect of Mr. Howell says nope, he's there to support you in that capacity. But thanks both, for coming on board. Just to clarify, so this round of amnesty was suggested by the courts, when the magistrates in the court saying, look at the way to address the issue, decrease the potential overcrowding, the financial costs of the country, house these individuals, and maybe so we can move it along. All right, how is it going so far? I mean, people like to, numbers-wise, response, efforts. What can you share with us, Mr. Scott?
Well, so far the people that have come in, they were really receptive to it. We've had some longer-term overstayers, actually. The very first person who turned himself in was a gentleman who was overstaying 10 years. So you're not talking about a short period of time. The day after he left, another person was overstaying 13 years, left. So you're talking about longer-term overstayers. Numbers overall, though, are not what we would like to see. We want to encourage the public, check your documents, make sure that you are legal, and if you're not, come and see us.
If I can ask a couple of questions. Again, it's rarely my intent to be disrespectful. Doesn't mean I don't achieve it, but it's rarely my intent. I was told as a student, boy, you have a curious mind and curious. That's how you learn, apparently, right? With this now, do we, going through this process, got an idea, well, we know it's probably 5,000 people. Do we have sort of a working number of potentially what kind of number we're looking at?
Yeah, we do. Our systems, our immigration systems, have the ability to run reports of people whose authorization has expired. That includes visitors, work permit holders, etc. Now, what we did was we took a sampling of that, and it seems year after year when we take these samplings, it seems to come down to just a few hundred people who we believe are actually overstaying. And that can be, again, it can be from anything. You came in on a visa, your time might have gotten refused. We've had people who have forgotten that they needed to come and get time, and legitimately forgotten that they needed to come and get time. So we do have the numbers out there.
Okay, if I may ask, I can see you going somewhere. You come over to somebody's house and you get caught up in the conversation. You go, oh goodness, geez, the sun is coming up already, and you genuinely, the host and you've enjoyed it because it might have been New Year's Eve. Sometimes you're there and your host like, oh, is he going to leave anytime soon? It's going to kind of late. So you get that vibe, but it can happen. But you're in a country, I mean, shouldn't you know that you...
Yeah. So the enforcement action, if you're significantly overstaying, acts as a bit of a detriment, a deterrence to folks for coming forward. So those are individuals that Mr. Scott and his team would have to go and hunt down and find where they're staying, and they tend to move around quite a bit as well, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. But so if you're going to get in trouble, this is like a little bit like when we were children. You might stay away from home for a little bit longer. Yeah. So those persons who have gone past 6 months, a year, knowing that they have some matters to face up to at that point, then they start to run the gamble of, well, let me stay and work a little bit longer if I can find work, or and end up
in for a pinch, in for a pound.
Yeah, so, in a year, in 5 years, 6 years, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13 years, as to the case of the individual that's left. So those are some of the egregious ones that when those are brought before the courts, they're saying we don't have an option but to send you to prison for that. So the amnesty, and this is not something that is done lightly, because it is relaxing a law so that something can happen. So similar to the firearm amnesty that we had just recently, this is something that allows persons who are here, who may have stayed on, and even persons who their work permit might be granted for a period up to 2 or 3 years, but they don't have work. They're not employed by their primary employer. Those persons are, by law, overstaying. There's the onus on the employer to report that they've ended the employ of an individual, and that person should then
we're going to want to ask about the different categories, because I think some of us may deliberately be mistaken in our belief that, this is only about people who are coming legally, or it's work permit holder as well as the person who's PR, but different things. But first off, penalties. You're in a country, you've overstayed a month, a year, 10 years. What are the penalties? Does it matter if you're here 10 years or 1 year overstaying? Is it the same? I mean, what sort of penalties?
Well, we have a two-tiered system that we use at DOI and enforcement for overstaying in particular.
Okay.
You have the option of dealing with it administratively with us, or you can take your matter to court. If you choose to go to court, it's up to $20,000 in fines or 5 years imprisonment.
$20,000 and 5 years.
And internally, the second tier, if you choose to deal with it with us, your initial fine is usually $200, unless there's some other aggravating feature to it.
Okay. Is that choice for the individual? How is that determined?
We leave, if it's strictly an overstaying or an illegal person, we leave the option to the person unless there's an aggravating feature.
Okay. In absence of...
And the length of time would be an aggravating feature.
Right? Okay. Yeah. All right. Because I'm thinking, I can stay here for 10 years, overstaying, a law-abiding citizen, very pleasant, working in the community, serving in the church. Good guy. Everybody know Mr. Johnny. He's such a wonderful fellow, dependable, always a smile, just for argument's sake. and $200, but in 10 years made $2,000 or whatever the sum is.
And again, it depends on the aggravating features. The whole reason the amnesty came about based on the judge's recommendations.
Right.
Those two persons, one was overstaying 2 years. He went to court and got 8 months imprisonment. The other gentleman was overstaying 7 years. He went to court and also got 8 months imprisonment. So there is that deterrent factor as well.
Yes, sir. Mr. Howell, Mr. Scott, we do have a caller online. I don't think this is lunch, so probably something. Let's go to our phone. Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Talk Today.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah. Good afternoon to your panel. Please forgive me for being ignorant. Did you just mention in regards of individuals 10 years and 13 years here in the Cayman?
Overstaying for 10 and 13 years. 2 examples, yes, ma'am.
That's correct.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. I have to get this. Do you think the team is after Hurricane Ivan? I'm just asking. You don't have to answer me yes or no.
Well,
you can say what you don't know. I would appreciate that more than...
Well, 2004 and plus 10 is 2014. So, mathematically, Mr. Howell would have...
Yeah, very close.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
And they either probably Ivan or they came by boat or just a negligence on our Department of Immigration. But, Mr. Howell, no disrespect to you and your guys. I appreciate what y'all trying to do, but I pray and hope that we can get this nip in the bud and this doesn't happen again in this so small island we so-called home, because being here for 13 years and 10 years, they have the house family here, they have the house children here and probably a little home or something or whatever the case may be, but that is a really big slap, I would say, to the Cayman Island. No disrespect to you guys, what you're doing. I thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing. Mr. Howell, Mr. Scott.
I thank the caller for that. We have the same concerns. Like I said, the drive behind the amnesty was really the result of the increased enforcement action, which was proactively going after some of the folks that have been here for a considerable period of time, and that overload then going through the courts, going into the prison, was one of the reasons why they said, well, if you can do an amnesty, appeal to individuals who you will get to, at some point during the course with the enforcement action, and have them take advantage of this, then we'll create that buffer. So this has been done in the past, and it's there. So totally right with the caller that it's not acceptable for individuals to be here for that length of time. The other aspect of this is that those persons are actually being supported by someone or are working for someone, and those individuals themselves are open for prosecution because they're assisting individuals or illegally hiring individuals. And those are actions that the team will also deal with because there's two sides to somebody being able to remain on island for that period of time.
And that's the aspect the caller raises a question I wanted to ask earlier, is that idea that somebody's here, but a person or somebody has to be helping in some form or facet. Food, shelter, employment, funding, something has to be. Mm-hmm. So we as a community, enabling, facilitating, and the like.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Can we talk when we come back from the break about that, if there are any sanctions, punishment, penalties, what have you, for those of us who are knowingly, or doesn't matter if we know or not, harboring someone who's illegal. All right, phone lines are open. Honored to be able to continue to learn and to inform and to engage your public. Mr. Wesley Howell, Mr. Joey Scott joins us as we talk about the amnesty being offered by the Department of Immigration. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Nursing, education, social work, media studies, hospitality, electrical, plumbing, AC. Wow, I didn't even know that the University College of the Cayman Islands offered all that.
Yes, all that and more, as well as event management and QuickBooks. They also did customized training for our staff last month. Hey, didn't your son just graduate from high school? Take him so he can apply for the fall semester.
Pursue your academic and professional goals at UCCI. Admissions are ongoing. Classes start August 27th. Visit them or call 623-8224 to learn more.
Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
Hey, are those new glasses on Will?
Yeah, we went to Optical Outlook. Wham, bam, easy exam. Finally, an exam he could pass. And we had the glasses the next day. Easiest part of our back-to-school shopping for sure.
Book your child's exam today at Optical Outlook. Call 746-2020. Save 50% off a complete pair of glasses with any student eye exam. From now until August 31st. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook. Located in the Caymanian Village. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
As parents and a community, it is our desire to have happy children who are able to cope with all of life's challenges. However, despite our loving support, sometimes our children suffer in silence and put on a brave face. Do you suspect that your child is experiencing problems, secretly struggling to cope, and is overwhelmed? If there is a possibility that they are anxious, experiencing troubling thoughts, and are suffering in silence, it is important to seek professional help. The Ministry of Community Affairs, in partnership with the Alex Panton Foundation, is hosting 5 community presentations on self-harm prevention this month and in September. These free talks cover how to spot the warning signs and who to turn to for expert advice. A question and answer will follow each talk. To get more information on the dates and venues of these presentations, please call 244-2426 or visit the Cayman Islands government website today.
All right, Ray, are we ready for our next CYC?
The topic we're going to have is Patterson, farm soldier. Thought we'd focus on one of our Cayman characters.
Ray, we have some characters in our society, people that the community needs to be reminded of. Mr. Patterson is one of those.
Yeah, and then people who say characters. The legendary Patterson, the farm soldier.
We all have our stories. We all remember first encounter coming from and going to school. The man is a legend.
Yes, we need people to call in and tell us some of the Patterson stories and things like that.
As we celebrate, respect, and pay homage to what I think was a great character in the society.
Join us this Friday.
This Friday already?
This Friday already. See What's Saying show. And the topic is Patterson. Make sure you call in. Make sure you listen.
All right. This Friday, we have a special guest to help us to navigate our historical record.
We hope.
We hope. If not,
join us anyway. See what the correct will be.
There you go. This Friday, See What I'm Saying.
This Saturday evening, August 18th, come out to the South Coast Bar and Grill in Breakers. There will be live entertainment by Rexy and the Impulse Band, including Lammy, Renee Peter Dixon from Cayman Brack, and many more guest performers. Music starts at 6 p.m. and admission is by a small donation to help needy musicians. So come out this Saturday evening, August 18th at 6 p.m. for live entertainment with Rexy and the Impulse Band at South Coast Bar and Grill, with guest performers Lammy and yes, Brackers, Peter Dixon from the Brack. This Saturday night at South Coast Bar and Grill in Breakers at 6 p.m. Admission by a small donation at the door.
Talk today. But I do have some questions.
Talk today. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to our guests, Mr. Joey Scott, the Assistant Chief Immigration Officer, and the Chief Officer in the Ministry responsible for immigration, Mr. Wesley Howell, as we talk about the amnesty. A couple of questions and comments on our WhatsApp that we would like to share with you as you guys remain with us. We did ask the question initially about penalties is probably the best word. For those of us who assist in keeping people here illegally. Two parts of the question. Is it that whether we know or don't know, does that matter and affect the potential penalty? And what, if any, are the penalties for those who do it?
Well, knowledge is definitely a key part of it. So you have to know.
So ignorance of the law is?
Ignorance to the law to a certain extent. But you have to show prudently that you
didn't know.
You made all of your checks and you believed honestly that that you were in the right.
Your Honor, of minding my own business? No, sorry, sir. Okay.
Now, if you fail that test and you become liable for an offense, there's administrative penalties up to 5 times any amount that you would have owed government. So the highest work permit fee is $37,500.
So almost $200,000, roughly.
Right. And that's per year. So if you have somebody employed illegally at that level for 10 years, you do the math. It's a big fine.
But that one carry two. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Okay.
And prosecution through the courts as well.
Prosecution through the courts, again, it's the same. You can go to prison for it. We've sent employers to prison, the courts have, for employing persons illegally.
Okay. So not only the person who is here illegally, but that person that is employing can also be sanctioned.
That's correct.
And I understand that, but I don't believe that many of us appreciate that as potentially, what could happen. So we put ourselves at risk in so many ways. We sour our name. We're not, I don't know, I think some of us think we're doing somebody a favor. Oh, they need a little bit of money, we need a little bit of work. So come and do this thing. It's okay.
And when employers do that, they risk their entire reputation. Because once you've been identified as a person who breaches the law, you will likely always be viewed as that, with some level of skepticism by any person who's reviewing your applications. Okay. Always.
Can I ask a question? I only to try to understand certain things from different aspects. Recently, I know of an instance where a company contracted with another company to provide a particular service, and from what I can gather, as the employees entered this business for whatever the reason, they had their IDs and they were expected to present themselves and be verified that yes, you're from this company and so on, and you're scheduled for today or whatever the work was to be done. That was a way for whatever reason. Nowadays, is it possible? Is there some sort of identification system that employees, not discriminate against those on work permit, but specifically those are the ones that would be subject to having to be a permitted license to be here? That's almost a joke I'm making, but I'll hold on for a second, right? So they come in and you ask as a member of staff or as an employer, well, can you show me your ID? Is that possible?
Well, we no longer issue work permit IDs.
Okay.
But each person has a work permit stamp that will be placed in their passport, and if you have a valid work permit stamp. Now, the danger with that is that you can't employ somebody just because they have a work permit. Yeah, that work permit has to be for you, and you have to employ them in the specific category that you're authorized. Otherwise, you prejudice Caymanians who potentially could do the job that you're doing on the side.
Okay, if I may ask. So let's just think of, it could be a business or it could be an individual has employed somebody through a company. Just use that. And the company is send over, let's use some sort of trade, so a service of some sort. And the person shows up, uniform, all other things. Now, you've employed the company to provide this service, whatever this is. The person shows up, and you don't really know whether that person is here legally or illegally. The person is who the person say the person is. How does that work?
Well, you can, and I'll give you a good example of that, the janitorial industry.
Okay.
So you have Joey's Janitorial, let's just say, and Mr. Howell employs Joey's Janitorial. Now, if
good company, sir, by the way.
It is a very good company. I recommend it highly. If Joey's Janitorial has employed some other person illegally, it would not necessarily be Mr. Howell's responsibility to ensure that that person is legal.
Okay.
It would be Joey's Janitorial. Now, any penalties that are incurred would be likely paid unless Mr. Howell was aware of the illegality. It would just be Joey's Janitorial.
Okay. Could I use that example then? Let's say then that Mr. Howell realizes that the company now has a particular employee that just really gets it, goes to that employee and says, listen, you come here Tuesday and Thursday, but boy, could you come Saturday every now and again, maybe every week, every month, because I got a function. And they negotiate, what's it, side work they call it? No.
Yeah, that's illegal.
Okay.
He can't actually do that.
All right. We should know that, but yet it's probably something that some of us do. If it is us, right, Mr. Howell? I mean,
days work is one of the issues that would allow folks to be able to eke out some sort of a living without having legitimate documents. So even though it might be one day a week for one individual, that overtime could allow somebody to stay here for years at end.
Okay.
So yeah, we would implore people to not do that, and to be aware that is something that they could be prosecuted for or administratively fined.
Okay. Without assuming that we know, but people who overstay, either reasons provided and or reasons that the department has developed over time through intelligence, what are some of those that people potentially are, why they overstay?
Well, the main ones are people find themselves in an overstaying situation and then become afraid to come in because of the fear of prosecution.
Mm-hmm.
That's most likely our main. And then you have those who don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And we spoke about this a bit earlier, but
Yes,
I'll give you a good example.
Mm-hmm.
You have persons who are raised here. They have Caymanian status up until the age of 18. And the years go by, and now you're 19. So that means your status fell away a year ago. Mm-hmm. So you've been in the country illegally, and you had no idea. You can't expect a child who maybe received status at 9 to remember when they're 18 that, you have to turn yourself into the immigration department, make another application, regularize yourself. But these are things that happen.
Yeah, but that status then is that Caymanian status, or is that...
Well, it can be Cayman status or it can be permanent residency. We also have the issue where people are dependents on permanent residency.
Mm-hmm.
The person from whom they're dependent upon moves on to a new facility, i.e. Cayman status, and they're no longer permanent residency. Therefore, any dependent they had under them falls away.
Okay.
And people don't realize that.
So let's not belabor that, but could we expound on this? So a couple, a person is here, maybe has PR. The child has been here for, let's say, since age 8, and now is age 18. Has legally has been here, going through the school system, what have you. Now, that person is now an adult. Legally here up until that point, that person now has to regularize him or herself at immigration.
They do.
And it would depend whether or not they're, maybe if they're going to UCCI, then there's some facilities for students to continue on for certain
There's
age.
some variance, but you have to have some legality. So at age 18, that status that you would have had automatically falls away on your birthday.
On your birthday?
On your birthday.
All right. Well, you know what? That's something that, because I think a question that we just received off air was, as Ms. Susan shared, are there any particular instances where a person could be here illegally, but it's, I don't want to say okay, they're here. That's one of those instances.
That could be one of those instances.
Could we kind of maybe speak to that in the issue so that we can understand that? All right, 949-8037 is a number that you can call. I believe, sir, gents, we have the news. And then I think a special song by Miss Susan. I don't know, maybe we don't. But when we come back, we'll talk to that issue. We have a couple of questions and comments on the WhatsApp that we'd like to share. Really appreciate your time. So when we come back, let's talk some more. Stay tuned.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman.
Headline. Radio Cayman's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
The police are informing the public of 3 incidents involving theft or attempted theft from vehicles which were reported this week. On Monday, police received 2 reports that cars were broken into at an address on Sunrise Boulevard in South Sound. Both cases, the front passenger window had been smashed and the cars ransacked. Nothing was reported stolen. That same morning, officers responded to a report that the tires and rims had been stolen from a car which was parked at a residence off Walker's Road. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines in news elsewhere. At least 24 children on their way to school and a health worker have drowned when their boat sank in northern Sudan. More than 40 children were on the boat, whose engine failed in a strong current as it crossed a 1.6-meter flooded area near the River Nile. The school's headmaster told the BBC that the children, who were between the ages of 7 and 16, began to panic, leaned to one side, and the boat overturned. Only 2 bodies have been found. 4 people were shot and several more injured when a gunman opened fire by the checkout of a Walmart during an argument with another customer. Police say 30-year-old Keenan Jones fired at least 10 shots, some indiscriminately, as shoppers ran for cover during the fracas in the Philadelphia suburbs. Officials say Mr. Jones and his sister fled the supermarket before crashing into a police car. And shares in Tesla have fallen 4% on reports that U.S. regulators are seeking to question executives at the firm about its privatization plans. Last week, boss Elon Musk said he was considering taking Tesla private, but some have questioned his intentions. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us. And as I was just reflecting quickly on something that was shared off air, perhaps those who are listening can appreciate that this is an issue that affects all of us. We may not be that unscrupulous employer. We may not be that individual who is here illegally, knowingly or unknowingly, but this is our community and things unfolding. We should be aware how we can make it better. Really grateful to both Mr. Joey Scott, the Assistant Chief Immigration Officer and Chief Officer in the Ministry responsible for immigration, Mr. Wesley Howell. Gents, just prior to the break, a question came in on the off air that asks, for that individual who is here, maybe it's the example of that student, that young person that was 18, 19. Are there instances where how was it worded, Ms. Susan, that they've been here, are they here legally but illegally, and how can they make that? What was that question that came in, Ms. Susan? I want to get her voice on air. No, she won't do it. Mr. Scott, you were going to answer under what circumstances as well. You know, if people here illegally, if they can stay, but equally. Two parts of the question, Mr. Scott.
Well, I think, firstly, you need to check your documents to make sure. And if you have any doubt, if there's not a stamp that says what you have and when it expires, or if it expires, you should be coming to see us, and you should be coming to see us before the 31st.
3 p.m. on the 31st.
3 p.m. on the 31st, not even the full day.
Yes, sir.
So you do have a little bit of time, but not that much. And we see these types of persons all the time. Persons who believe they have something, who believe they are Caymanian, who are not necessarily Caymanians. Even having Cayman passports does not necessarily make you a Caymanian. There are circumstances that you can get a Cayman passport without being a local. Come and see us.
Yeah,
we might need another show to go through that.
We will need another show, sir. But I'll hold our own for now because I do apologize. That's a challenge. But we'll hold on to that. I'll be respectful for now. But we're talking about people on work permits. But there are some of us who have may have reached the end of our term limits and the like as well. And that could put us in a position that we're now here illegally, or could it?
Yeah, there are certain facilities, RERC, persons married to Cayman with employment rights certificates.
Okay.
Yeah, residency employment rights certificate.
Okay.
That has currently has a 7-year sort of time frame. So at the end of 7 years, you got to do something as well. So that there's many of these facilities that are time bound. I can say as we work to modernize the immigration systems, we'll be looking to be able to proactively share that information with persons ahead of time, so that they have a bit of a reminder that it's coming up. But at this point, the onus is on the individual to ensure that those dates are complied with, like licensing your car and renewing your driver's license. Those are the onus is on you to do that. But I mean, I can say that I think we said it off air. The first individual who took advantage of the amnesty was somebody that we were actively seeking. So we were knocking on doors, making inquiries, and that person knew that they weren't far away from being apprehended, and came in and was the first person to have that amnesty applied to them. So I just want to remind individuals who might be listening to the sound of my voice, knowing that come 3 o'clock on the 31st, and actually not even on the 31st, we're still continuing operations even throughout this month of amnesty, because there are individuals who are on the radar, and we're working through that list of individuals. So, turn yourself in sooner rather than later. Otherwise, you run the risk of getting caught as opposed to taking advantage of the amnesty.
Before we go to the phone, just to confirm or clarify, if an individual, if I can use the phrase, is on the radar, that person knows or suspects that he or she is here illegal in overstay. If that person, says, turns voluntarily, comes in, one set of circumstances. But if your enforcement team finds the person, different set of circumstances.
It's a completely different set of circumstances at that time.
All right. What they say, you better. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Mr. Howell and Mr. Scott are our guests. Gents, let's join our caller. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Sterling. How are you doing?
Blessed and thankful. How about yourself?
I'm not too bad for an old man.
Some know you will tell you you're still young.
I would like to say something to Mr. Howell.
Yes, sir.
I came here in 1956 to work for Light Plant, not Cayman Island government, not CUC.
Okay.
Not
Rest in his
CUC.
power and light will be was, huh? Yeah.
And apparently, luckily, I've got my status from, that was the old days with Inspector Nixon when he was Chief of Immigration before Mr. Buster came here.
Yes, sir, that goes back a long time.
Long time. Then thereafter, Inspector Nixon, I think it was OC when he came back from the States.
So it's a long time, sir. Yeah.
long time.
Yes, sir.
So I wonder if my status is still valid.
So once once save, always save, I believe.
I was having this conversation, sir, with the acting chief immigration officer as early as yesterday, and we were talking about the number of laws that persons would have qualified either by birth or being domiciled in Cayman and have gained the right to be Cayman or Cayman status, or on a multitude of facilities going all the way back. So yeah, persons who receive that facility as a grant at that point would be grandfathered in. That's solid. Yes.
All right. Anything else, sir, do you want to share with us?
Pardon?
Is there anything else that you wish to share with us, sir?
No, I don't want to hold up the line no more.
You're not holding up. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much. If I may ask, then, hopefully this isn't to confuse or compound the issue, but from what the caller just shared and your explanation, Mr. If a person is here illegally, whether a year, 10 years, or 30 years, or however long, similar to what I understand could happen with, what is this, in land law, squatters' rights, adverse possession, and the like. If you're here illegally and you've been here by X time, does that then give you, hey, I've been here 30 years, man, what do you mean? Mr. Scott, Mr. Howell?
No, it doesn't.
That doesn't work.
And we don't have any legislative provisions to do anything other than that. So you would have to have a legal provision that's provided by our domestic legislation to have that done.
So 10-year doesn't matter. If you're here illegally, once illegal, always illegal until you're legal.
Yeah.
Oh, like the Turbo song, illegal. Or no, and the thing is that some of us probably don't really appreciate it. We don't understand the potential cost and consequence. I can see issues of this individual within our society. May have been here for a long time, working, very nice, very actively engaged in all of the different aspects of our community. But then what if something happens and there's need for medical provision, burial, a myriad of things potentially could present itself. Perhaps it doesn't matter to some people, but I can see the potential. Mm-hmm. Maybe you think too much sometimes, I wonder.
As we were sharing off air as well, I think this is an important point. Individuals really need to check their documents themselves. We have some instances where our employers, our very own employers, are unscrupulous. So they pretend that they've applied for work permits and it's been granted, and then the worker continues on assuming that they're legitimate, and it's not until they attempt to travel that they understand that they've been overstaying and have been missold. Typically when that happens, the employer is not paying health insurance nor pension and other things. So the task force that we have with the police, immigration, Department of Labor and Pensions, and DCI, which is responsible for trade and business, that arrangement, that task force, we tend to have persons who are committing offences on several sides, and this is primarily on the employer side of things. So they're exploiting several laws to the detriment of Cayman and to the detriment of their employees.
I mean,
I can tell you statistically, we prosecute just as many people for causing someone to overstay as we do for people who actually overstay.
Wow. And maybe as a public, we don't appreciate or understand that. Maybe it's just something that we need to be cognizant of. You're an employer. You're not really safe, and you're doing yourself a disservice potentially for other trade and business licenses, renewals, favorite status, or what have you. But for that, though, there has to be a consciousness on the part of the individual employer or employee to behave in that manner. It speaks to what kind of people you are.
The conscious choice we made as the ministry and the department to start to publish our stats on what the arrests are on a regular basis to build that awareness. Part of what we're fighting is the public didn't have an understanding that we were continuing to do operations. And they thought, well, I'm not going to turn them in because they ain't doing anything anyway. By publishing what we're doing, we've actually increased the information coming in. Persons are passing on tips to say, I suspect that somebody down the road might be somebody you want to talk to, and we make our checks, and that leads to a line of inquiries that we can do. So we encourage persons to do that as well, and we will continue publishing, the successes that we're doing in terms of shutting down illegal working and dealing with those persons with those issues. Yeah.
I had a comment. I was just trying to see how best to relate, not out of anything other than not to be inflammatory, but I had it again, and I had it a number of times, especially since the amnesty, in that there have been times that members of the public have relayed, just in conversation with it, seems that when, despite the robust efforts of immigration and the police and the authorities to bring a matter to court for overstaying, that the courts themselves have been less than resilient and robust in its, meeting out sanctions. And there was one particular case that came to mind where the person said, that was unfortunate because it almost seems as if the courts are saying, no harm, no foul, undermining the efforts. Can we share with you a sentiment that was expressed in relation to a fingerprint machine? For those who are listening, Mr. Wesley Howell, the Chief Officer in the Ministry responsible for Immigration, as he shared, able to assist in Mr. Joey Scott, the Assistant Chief Immigration Officer. How I got it, Mr. Scott? All right. This is any updates on when and if we will ever get the fingerprint machine up and running. So recently I was over in the Bay Islands of Roatan and was surprised they have it and use it on us and everyone else that came off the plane. Thanks for that listener for sharing that thought. I respectfully just read it as it was sent to us, sir.
No, absolutely. So that was a project that was initiated some time back. It was actually incorporated in the law, and some equipment was purchased, but never got off the ground. I'm happy to say that that's one of the areas that we've been tasked by the National Security Council to implement increased capturing of biometrics at the border, and by that way expand our reach of persons who are undesirable and persons within our midst that we should know about by having that done at that level. So that is a project that we've been tasked to put back on the front burner and complete.
Okay.
And that is something that we're seeing more and more. I read recently that the Orlando airport has moved to facial recognition as their means now of clearing non-U.S. citizens coming through. So they still have your fingerprints, but your first view is of your face, right? And they're matching that to all the known pictures that they have of you. So if you're traveling in somebody else's document, you're going to get caught at that point. So
some of us who are not that aesthetically pleasing may be prone not to avoid. I just all right, Miss Susan shares we have the final break. And when we come back, the gents will invite you to continue to share with us again. Thanks for taking time out to not just engage but inform our public. Please join us after the break.
Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
Did you hear that Vamp Motors has your sale going on now? And you get your choice on the money you'll save on your new car or truck?
My sale? My choice? Really?
Yeah! And they have lots of cars on sale. Some up to $7,000 off.
Sounds pretty good.
It gets even better. You can choose to take the full discount or you can get some or all of it as cash back.
Extra cash back would be great.
Exactly. And you can even use the savings to extend your warranty or service plan so you'll drive worry-free for years longer.
Another good idea.
If you want to upgrade with something like a new roof rack or backup camera, you can choose that too.
Wow, I get to choose?
Yeah, that's why it's your sale, your choice. Going on now at Vamp Motors on Walkers Road, while stocks last.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to our guests, the Assistant Chief Immigration Officer, Mr. Joey Scott, together with the Chief Officer and the Minister responsible for Immigration, Mr. Wesley Howell. Gents, we do have a caller joining us as we near the end of our program, but let's take our calls. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Dwayne, and to your panel. Could I just ask Mr. Howell, if someone was married and they got the rights to work cancelled, are they still legal? They're still married and everything. Are they still legal, or what do they have to do then to get the residence and thing, whatever?
Well, I think I might jump in for Mr. Howell and answer that. The answer is possibly. If they've lost their right to work, then they may have some other facility, but they have to have something, which they would have had to apply for. Am I correct in saying that the person might have had their facility revoked?
Yes.
Yeah. If they have it, then likely once they were served, they would have been given authorization as a visitor or as an ex-resident for a period of time, probably 30 days. After that, if they haven't either renewed that visitor status or ex-residency status or made some other application that's been approved, then they probably don't have anything. That would be the type of person that we would ask to come in just to confirm with us that they are legal.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
And to that caller, I think you shared, Mr. Scott, thanks so much for sharing that there are some people who are not sure what their status is best. They know they're here legally. They're not engaged in anything that they believe is illegal. That person should contact immigration. Who do they contact? How do they contact? What do they do?
Well, you can, if you use WhatsApp or you can use a text, send me a text message. I might not be able to get back to you right away, but I'll check it for you, certainly. I will have to verify you are who you say you are before I can release certain information to you, so you might be asked a few personal questions. But my number is 926-2642. I'll be happy to do it for you.
We also have the call center,
Yes.
and folks can make their way down to immigration headquarters. And for folks who have some niggling concerns at this point, if you want to do it, probably want to do it before the 3 o'clock on the 31st, because you don't have then the added concern of additional action for any things that you might have been misconstrued about.
Yeah, I mean, the 31st is a Friday, so come 31st, so 3rd of September, the first Monday, the first working day, the person, for whatever reason, conscience pricks them, they finally heard about it, and they come into immigration. Not saying that there's an issue, but potentially
is, absolutely.
There's an issue. So don't wait till the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, or December the 25th.
Yeah,
this is your gift now by the 31st.
And for those who are watching the streaming, Mr. Scott is dressed in his fatigues, which means that they have operations ongoing. You know, the guys are in the field and the ladies are in the field doing their operations in any event. So don't get caught by the guys in black. You want to ensure that you take advantage of that amnesty coming before then.
Well, I hope there are public, whether they're Caymanian with ancestral, generational links, whether they're just here recently, whether they just took a work permit. We started to be supportive and understand that this is for our safety, security. I was just looking, Mr. Scott, at, what is on the immigration sort of their motto, right? Mm-hmm. The crest, security, stability, prosperity, right? It's not what we all want, to be able to move about our community, to participate legally in what's happening. What does it say? If you pay the piper, you should call the tune. But if you're not willing to stand the heat, don't go in the kitchen and,
Absolutely.
There's other ways to say that, but... All right. I know that the acting chief, Mr. Smith, had mentioned, it was Mr. Wong actually, why 3 p.m.? We had another question asking, we have one caller, if it's not improper to ask, why the 31st at 3 p.m., not midnight, not whatever? Is there a particular reason, or is it just a good time? Schools close at 3 p.m., I don't know. Talk show ends at 3 o'clock.
Part of the reason was basically the availability of flights departing the island. Check-in counters for most flights or all flights actually that are going to leave that day close off at 3 o'clock. So that was the time that they chose to do it.
Okay.
And I mean, the seriousness of the amnesty is that we have agreed for 31 days out of a month, out of the year, to set aside our laws and say you get a free pass. So it's quite serious. So that finite 31 days that ends on the 31st is a serious gift in terms of people who should take advantage of it. And I really implore them to do so, because coming on the heels of that then is the full force of the enforcement team and our colleagues and other agencies that have similar interests on weeding them out coming up. Yeah,
Mr. Noble, thank you. I just talked about December 25th. This is your Christmas present. No, that's not meant to be facetious or what have you, but you're in a country. You're there no matter whether you're there and you are law-abiding, but you're illegal. Mm-hmm. How many of the countries would then say, okay, let's process you on the way? I mean, you could disappear. And I'm not trying to say that in a way, but that's the reality of the world that we live in today. You're undocumented. Nobody knows of you. Are you willing to take that? I don't know.
Absolutely.
It's you can read into it how you want, people, but here's a gift, and you don't have to unwrap it. It's just there for you. Now, we have a few moments in the program enough. Mr. Howard, Mr. Scott, as we remind, are there particular things that you want to implore the public to emphasize? I leave it to you, because as much as I smile, this is no joking matter.
So, I mean, we've received anecdotal information. We've gotten a couple of calls. Some anonymous emails have come in, people making inquiries. Mm-hmm. Those persons who are kind of feeling out the process now, they really need to come in and get their situation sorted. I can't implore persons to do that enough. Mr. Scott, I don't know if he has his summary of their arrest and the number of persons that they stop and question and check documents on a weekly basis, but the efforts have been ramped up quite recently. And like I said, it's not just immigration officers that are participating. We have right across the board, including customs officers, are out there on these joined up task forces that are hitting some of the workplaces, construction sites, and those sorts of things. So, and as Mr. Scott shared, this is not only a concern for the overstayer, but the persons who are enabling and employing those persons, and those employers are held to the same standard as well.
Mr. Scott?
No, definitely. I would just invite anybody who has a question. If you are not sure of your immigration status, let us know. Come and find us. If you are sure of your immigration status and you are not legal, I would suggest take your passport, get a ticket, go to the airport. It's as simple as we take a one-page form that has about 5 questions on it. Your name, date of birth, why did you do it, and you're on your way. I mean, it could not be any more simple than that. And if you're not sure, come and find us. We're not going to arrest you if you turn yourself in. If you don't, we'll be looking for you. We have operations planned even up to this week. We'll be having operations targeted for particular persons who we know where they are. We know that they don't have anything. So if they don't come in, the worst will happen.
It's kind of like a parent knowing the answer, but just giving you a chance to say, okay, now tell the truth, little Johnny.
Right.
I know. Don't.
And it is basically the same thing. I mean, we're not going away. So far for the year, we've as of July, we've done 365 case files. The 2 weeks preceding the amnesty, we had 27 people that we dealt with for overstaying. So they are there. They're out there.
That's 1 week.
That's just,
Wow.
Yeah.
We've done, so far for the year, we've done 38 operations. 8 of those have been with either police or customs. We work with trade and business. We work with anybody who has law enforcement powers we work with. So.
I don't know that the public appreciates not just the volume of work, but how important this is for our continued safety and security to be able to move out freely. You may just speak specifically of a particular crime that happened, but if you don't know who is in your society, how can you expect there to be, proper sort of enforcement of our laws and prosecution and the like?
Right.
I was just looking at a concept, comment that came through here, and picking up from what the person is sharing. Basically, this person relays that they can notice in some known areas less congregation of people. They say maybe that's sentiment to your actions being effective. Worded a little bit differently, but that's the gist. Hopefully, I will share. So it is working. What can we, as the public, do to assist? Some people may not want to get involved because they don't want to be this, that, or the next thing. But if we don't help, how can we expect to improve? Is there anything that you require of us as a general public?
I mean, persons may not have firm evidence that persons are overstaying or employing persons illegally. But if there's a concern, they can share that confidentially with us. There's a tip line that we can use. That information can be given to trusted persons within government. I sometimes get stopped in the supermarket and somebody slips me a piece of paper with some information on it, and those lead to operations. So
they do.
So we do welcome those, and I really want to thank the public for their participation. So those 27 arrests the week before the amnesty started, much of that is linked to persons providing some assistance in those areas.
Yeah, I know there's a culture, perhaps it's fueled by the media and the music and what have you, about informal, but this is not that. This is about being safe in our societies, being our brother's keeper, making sure. As an analogy, I was having a conversation with some business people earlier, and one said, listen, I got to pay my trade and business licenses, pay my pension and health and rent and all these things, and then go out and expect to make a profit, borrowed money from the bank. Now the operation sets up as a competitor, no work permit fees, none of these other things.
No overhead.
No overhead. And if selling the same, both selling number 2 pencils, one can be all profit, or one can sell it for much less and still be all profit.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not much different in a sense. So leveling the playing field, but making it safe.
And that's what we have. I mean, we have over 2,000 small businesses. I mean, that is the bulk of our employment of individuals in the country. And if they're not all playing by the same rules, then we're really setting some up to have an unfair advantage. And if they're breaking several of our laws, then that's stuff that we really need to deal with.
Well, I'll ask this, and my final comment is, and you guide me in case it's improper. But I'm thinking of the person who employs someone that may either knowingly or unknowingly be illegal, don't have the trade and business license, don't have the work permits. They're putting themselves at risk if they need to enforce that warranty. They need to go back to say, well, the job wasn't done to that standard. Who are you going to go to? You don't know the person's name, you don't know the validity of the operation. Is that...
Well, there should be a certain amount of due diligence that persons who are subcontracting with organizations do to ensure that they have the necessary facilities to operate that business and provide those services. The onus is really on the subcontractors to ensure that they are complying as well. But if you are subbing out work and doing those sorts of things, you should have some sort of checklist that you go through to be confident that your subcontractors are complying.
Okay. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. It's your business. It's your livelihood. It's your reputation that's on the line. Are you willing to put it at risk for some other person?
Exactly. Yes, we have opted for one final call.
Sure.
I mean, Ms. Susan's in charge, so we can have whatever we want. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Yes, hi. Thanks for having those gentlemen in. I have a little concern. Well, not really a little concern. This is a big concern. You try to work as a local citizen to inform the immigration on certain things, and I have had personal experience where I have done my best and alert them, and only to come back to see that they have not. Actually, confidentiality seems to be an issue because I can only speak for myself, but I have put case forward and people call back and find out who, just internally, there is a breakdown there for confidentiality. So I hope that they can work on that because, out here as a citizen, we know a lot, but you can't do anything because a lot of times you're not getting that the action then to action what you complete is, and then there's interior officers or whoever staff that is giving out information for people that say Tom, Dick, or Harry has put this in because they want you to sign your name, and I don't have a problem having my name, but in confidentiality, you're not going to go back now and then tell the person that Joe Blow was the one that put in a complaint on you, and that happened because I've experienced that personally. So it draws me back from doing my part as a citizen, civil citizen. Okay.
Thank you very much for sharing that, gents.
So I can only say I take the confidentiality stuff really seriously, and the tip line is set up as an anonymous way to get through. As a caller was talking to, I was thinking that we might have two scenarios there. One is where you write in for somebody that has a legal facility with an allegation that they've done something. Now, in natural justice, that person has to be presented with what they were accused on so they can answer to it. And in doing so, it may be possible that the individual identity could be revealed either through the details that they know or some other means. But that is not the same as someone turning in information on something that would launch an investigation for illegal activity. So that the two are sort of separate. So I hope that's there. But from my perspective, and I know from the team, they fully understand that the confidence of individuals providing information is key to that information continuing to come in so that we can do our jobs better.
Well, we know that one of the former police commissioners also in a public meeting expressed concern that the public sometimes, maybe inadvertently, is given information, but it's something we can work on as a society. But it stands for us having the ethos that legal is legal and illegal won't be tolerated.
Absolutely.
I commend you for your continued efforts. Only the people who are involved can only imagine how taxing it can be, but it's a job that makes our society safer. Mr. Scott, to you and your team, thank you very much, and the other agencies as well. Any closing thoughts, Mr. Scott?
Well, again, just to remind the public, check your documents, confirm what you have. If you think you have, double check and confirm. If you're not sure, come and ask us.
Can I come and visit? I've checked, cross and reconfirm?
Absolutely.
Reconfirm. I just love that your name. What about Mr. Howell, if you wish, sir, to?
No, again, just re-emphasizing the clock is ticking. Today is the 15th, and it's approaching 3 o'clock. So we're,
there you go.
We're down to 15 days now. So let's get it done.
Well, if it's worthwhile, if it's within a value, whether a quick phone call, an email, you need us to share anything with the public. I believe I can speak for the record equally that we're here to assist, and maybe as a public we start to appreciate that it is our safety and security. So we need to step up and participate and appreciate that. Don't expect the government, the police, the immigration to do anything and everything if we're not willing to draw alongside.
Absolutely.
But, that's just me. Hey, tomorrow is another day. It's Thursday. We've got a press release from the opposition that they're having a press conference at 10 a.m. at their offices. I should know where it is, but I'm not sure. Somewhere on Smith Road, I think, is their press conference. 1 o'clock, an honourable opposition leader will join us. He usually comes in, or his team prior to, but we get a chance to talk to them at 1 p.m. Friday, see what I'm saying. Ray Banker promises to be on his usual behaviour. I can't promise you the same.
I'll tune in.
So please join us for that. And until tomorrow, be blessed.
satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?